Hey, holiday emotional hangover? Just completed maybe your first major set of holidays without your loved one? Well, if this is you and you are feeling exhausted, depleted, physically, emotionally, today is the perfect live for you to join, where I am going to share with you 4 ways to increase and raise that social battery, that emotional response to all of the stress and overwhelm of the holidays. And if you comment hashtag battery, you are welcome to join me on a 15-minute grief to healing strategy call where I give you the number one tip to address grief in your household. For those of you who are new to the group, if you want to comment hashtag live or hashtag replay, that helps keep this video in our news feed and helps others see it who may have missed it. And again, for those of you who are new, my name is Dr. Annette Athey, and I am a grief specialist and child development expert. And I have been in the field for 20 years, as well as I have 4 kids of my own that I have helped through their grief experience. And so, talking about grief and educating others is near and dear to my heart in everything that I do. So, I want to ask all of you, when we are talking about this emotional overwhelm, I want us to compare it to a battery. And so, my question to you, and I would love for you to answer in the comments yes or no, whether you're watching live or the replay. When your battery on your phone is running low, do you start to panic? Are you the one who runs searching all around the house, trying to find a cord, then next trying to find an outlet? Where can you plug in and still have your phone? Um, Admittedly, that is me. I gotta have my phone. I need my phone. I need access. I would imagine that most of us, as parents, would say yes to this question. And we're probably watching most of our teenagers, maybe even some of your preteens who, or even your younger ones who might have electronics, maybe not a phone, who immediately are panicked when that battery is low, when the red blinking light is on and it's about to go off. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is, for most of us, if we were to change the beginning of the sentence on when we feel stressed and overwhelmed, when we are emotionally hungover and exhausted, do we run for the outlet or the cord to recharge ourselves? And my guess is, if you are like me and you're like the other parents that I have worked with in this group, we don't. We take care of everybody else. We make sure all of our kids have cords for their electronics, for their energy, for their well being. But we often, as the caretakers, forget about ourselves. We don't often go and find the things that charge us, that bring our social battery back up. So, why is this important? Well, it's important for several reasons. Number one, we can't take care of our children if we're not taking care of ourselves. So just like the airline says when the flight attendant gets on and says that the air that is going to drop down from the ceiling should there be an emergency, they say put your mask on first before you help your children, before you help those around you. So what I'm asking you to do today is think about how you can help yourself before you help your children. So getting yourself emotionally prepared. Now, with that in mind, all 4 tips that I am going to share with you today are absolutely things you can do and your kids can do. So you can be a fantastic role model for your kids, as well as you can teach them how to do these things so that they know how to attend to their emotional battery. And part of what that looks like is, number one, we're going to identify the stressors. So if we don't know, if we don't have an awareness of what is stressing us out, of what is draining our battery, we can't make a difference. We can't change it. So this awareness, I would love for you to bring just some curiosity to, why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling stressed and overwhelmed? What's going on? And for most of us, we can say over the last few weeks, it's the holidays. Maybe you traveled out of town. Maybe you tried to do extra activities or extra presents or gifts because you knew this year was your first holiday without your loved one, and you didn't want your kids to feel like they were lacking. And so you ran around doing all this extra stuff that you wouldn't have normally done during a holiday. Or maybe because it is your first holiday without your loved one, maybe you went to go visit some loved ones out of town or out of state. Or maybe you had more company that came to stay with you because they didn't want you to be alone over the holidays. They didn't want your kids to feel like it wasn't a normal holiday. So you may have had extra company, you may have been traveling, you may have been trying to run this holiday perfectly, and now it's caught up with you. Now you're in this emotional hangover of exhaustion because your polyvagal system, your nervous system, and if you are part of my world, you will hear me talk about the polyvagal system quite a lot. But your nervous system is running in the background, and it's detecting whether or not there are cues of safety or threats of danger. And guess what? When we're exhausted and overwhelmed, our system analyzes that and interprets that as danger. And so our body wants to protect us. So when we're activated in that protection mode, it feels like we're running a marathon. So there's a reason why we feel that way. Again, first step is just being aware. And for some of you, just being aware is enough. You don't have to intervene differently, because now you know, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Or we're only going to have a play date for 2 hours instead of 4 hours because that was exhausting. Those are just a few examples, but just having that awareness sometimes changes things enough that a next step isn't necessary. But what if you are one of those who says, I need more? That's not a good enough tip. The next thing for you to look at and to know about yourself is, are you somebody who recharges alone, or do you recharge when you're with other people? So some people might refer to that as an introvert or an extrovert. But the bottom line is, does your energy level come up when you have alone time, or does your energy come up when you're around, and I'm not just saying anybody, you're around the people you want to be around, the people that you feel your best self with? So I would love to see in the comments, are you somebody who charges up alone or with people? For myself, I am one who prefers solitude. I would love to have just a quiet evening to spend time just unplugging. That is ideal for me. That brings my energy back up. So again, if you want to comment in the comments, are you one who recharges alone or with people? I'd love to hear what you have to say. So my husband is the opposite. He is one who recharges with people. So guess what? That sometimes becomes in opposition. So for instance, today, my youngest had a basketball game, so we did basketball game first thing this morning. Then I came and I saw clients in my counseling private practice. And now I'm doing a Facebook Live, so I'm giving my energy to you virtually online. I'm going to be done at the end of the day. I don't want to go anywhere. But for my husband, we did the basketball game this morning, then he's been at home. He is going to be ready to go out for supper this evening. So his idea is going out, recharging with people. Mine is at home. Our compromise for that is we get dinner to go and we eat it at home on Saturdays. Why I bring this up is your way of recharging may be different than your kids. So what if your kids are very social and they want to have play date after play date after play date, and you are one who recharges alone? So the idea of going to another mom's group or hanging out at another person's house for your kids to have a play date or going to the park maybe just sounds exhausting. Just the idea of it sounds like, whoa, that's too much. This is where you can notice that and then decide how you're going to manage that. How do you find a balance? And this is something that, again, not only applies to grief, it's our everyday, all the time, these situations come up. Maybe it's a situation with coworkers. Maybe your kiddo is one who recharges alone. And so when they go to school all day long with a classroom full of 20 to 25 kids, by the time they get home, they're grumpy and exhausted because they just can't take any more. In my household, I'm very aware that all of my kids are ones who need some social recharge, but they more crave that alone time. So after we have gone somewhere, inevitably, as soon as we come home, everybody goes to their own space. Everybody is looking for that solitude. So knowing why your kids are doing that can sometimes be helpful. The third thing is get outside. Go connect with nature. It is a free, simple, easy way to recharge your energy. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about that stuck, overwhelmed, exhausted feelings. This is like plugging into the outlet for all of us. Now, a lot of people say go out there and go barefoot and really connect with nature. I'm going to tell you that this morning when it was feels like 12 degrees in Kansas, no way I'm going out barefoot. So I don't know about you and where you're at. Maybe if you're in Hawaii or in Arizona, that's an option. Totally do that, because if you can connect physically with the earth, with nature, with the tree, that amplifies how calming and restoring that can be. So there is a benefit. It also, if you look up the research on that, it grounds your nervous system, that polyvagal system, and it grounds your organs. So it helps everything that gets amped up in your polyvagal system when we are activated and sympathetic, that all calms the moment we ground ourselves in nature. So it's why a lot of people garden and things like that, where they're in the dirt, it's a calming force. Again, great thing to include your kids on. So maybe you just walk around the outside of your house. Maybe you walk to the mailbox and back. Maybe you take a walk around the block and with your kids, because it helps them ground their nervous system too. Again, you're teaching without having to talk about it. but you will notice a difference in how they're engaging with you. So the fourth tip that I have for you is more of an energy aligned technique, and there are two of them. And real quickly, I'm just going to go through the highlights. If you want to know more about tapping, I do have a video. If you go under the lives, you will find the video on tapping, or you can search in our group. And if you're not able to find it and want to put a comment on this video about the tapping video, I would be happy to go and tag you in that post so that you can watch that if you're not familiar with tapping. So tapping is tapping on the acupressure points, and those acupressure points release tension, stress, negative energy in our body, and it releases it. Why that's helpful is it's sending calming vibrations through the body to release these negative or maybe unwanted emotions, especially when we're talking about grief, because grief gets stuck in our body. That's often what leads us to more of that anxious behaviors or depressive behaviors, is because we have this stuck energy. It's those feelings are just stuck in there and they can't find a way out. Tapping is a great way to get them out. The other one is just a real quick one that you can do anywhere. And it's called the figure eight. If you are familiar with the Eden method at all, she talks a lot about this. And the figure eight is just what it sounds. We're going to make a figure eight with our hand. I usually do it down low. It's one of those, you can do it big out in front of you, or you can do it down low and small. You could trace it on, like, let's say you could trace it on your arm if that's what felt more comfortable, where you didn't feel like you were conducting an orchestra. But this is another one that helps release the energy. It helps get rid of that energy that's stuck there and helps things move and flow. Why this is a benefit is we're not asking you to take a pill. We're not asking you to do a 20-minute or a 2-hour or a 10-day intensive. If you do this every day for just a couple minutes a day, it will strengthen its power. So the more you do it, just like working out at the gym, your body will begin to know what to do and what you're asking it to do. So something you can do with your kids. You can incorporate it right into your exercise. It could be a before bed thing. Lots of times there's benefits for like stomach aches, headaches. Again, it just helps move the energy. And I don't want any of you to stay in this stress and overwhelm. I don't want you to stay stuck. And so if hearing these tips, you are struggling with, that's not going to work for me, or I don't know how to implement that, or my kids are never going to try this, I would love to meet with you on a grief to healing clarification call. And in that call, I would talk with you about some of the specifics that are happening in your household and the personalities of your children, and give you the steps and the tools of what to say, how to introduce it, and how to use it in your household. I am very much a let's work smarter, not harder. So again, I'm not going to ask you to give up or add 30 minutes or an hour a day. I am talking about things that are very effective in just a few short minutes. You're in this group for a reason, and the reason you are here is the significant loss and how it's affecting you and it's affecting your children. You don't need a bigger to-do list. Life is already complicated and overwhelming enough. I want to provide you with the tools in a quick, easy way for you to implement them, where you don't have to pull out this giant book on how to follow this, what to do, how do you make this work. If you have questions about that, comment #battery, and I would love to reach out to you and talk with you further. Before I end today, I'm just going to check over in the comments. Oh, and I apologize, whoever is in there. If you click the StreamYard link, I'll be able to see your name. That gives permission to Facebook to let StreamYard show your name. But right now on my comments, it just shows a Facebook user. So I'll be able to see your name once I go back out into the Facebook group to be able to tag you. But I will absolutely tag you in the tapping video. We did a live on it, as well as several posts to kind of help educate you about tapping. But I definitely, once we finish here, will tag you in that video. So thanks for commenting. And it's something we can definitely talk further on. I was introduced to tapping about a year and a half ago. And I have to say that tapping has really changed what I do and how I see children and adults, because tapping is, number one, so effective, but also number two, it doesn't require equipment. It doesn't require a degree. You don't have to have an extended background and certification to use it. It is something you can do at home, and you can start today. So if you are interested in that video, absolutely put your name here, and I'll be sure to tag it because I don't want you to miss it. It was something that lots of parents have talked about, how effective and helpful it was. So again, I just want to say one more time, if you are wanting some help on how to implement strategies to help your child who's grieving, please comment #battery. This free 15-minute grief to healing clarification call does not obligate you to anything. It is me giving to my community, helping and wanting to help your family no longer be in pain. Now, is my one strategy going to solve everything? No, but I want you to see that there's some hope, and there are some strategies that you can implement right away that are going to make a difference. And then you can decide if you want to just continue watching the lives. Perfectly fine. If there is something more you're needing, or maybe you are one of the families in the group who has been struggling with grief for several years and you just are exhausted and not knowing what to do next, I would love to talk with you about some options that I have that could help. So again, I do this because I have a passion for helping families and helping parents understand what their kids are going through, because grief in children looks very different than it does in adults. So thanks for being here in the live, and I look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care.